Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. After the recent election, the party is in disarray. It was slaughtered. It lost so many votes, so many seats. It is now in danger of becoming irrelevant. It's got no backing, no funding, no support. People are leaving in droves. Its leaders are in disarray. All of them. The actual leader of the party will be changed soon. Nobody knows who the next leader will be. There's so few contenders left that are even possibilities in the eyes of the public. It's a party destined, I think, for very grim times ahead. But that's enough of the Conservatives. Let's have a look at the SNP, for which that scenario is exactly the same. They are a minority party, and although they have power in Scotland, that is on the wane and is only fleeting. Come 2026, that power seems to be evaporating. They will no longer be the force they were. They will be a minor party. They will be a party of has-beens and never-weres. A party of potential that was never developed because of the obsession and hatred of their cult-like leader. It's a party that needs to change its leader, change its direction. And these are observations not from me looking on the outside going in, but from people within the party looking out and seeing the future and understanding the consequences of what the general election meant. It is a party in deep, deep trouble. Let's take a look. Right, the SNP is now a minority party, destined to sit on the sidelines like the unpopular kids at the school disco. Nice header. The Nats had a shocker, but the Tories had a catastrophe, writes Alan Grant. Now, Alan Grant, of course, was the one who went to Jurassic Park and fought with the Velociraptors and the T-Rex and that. And here he is again, surrounding himself with has-been dinosaurs that will never ever rule the earth again. They must choose a moderate leader at both Westminster and Holyrood, or prepare for a long spell in the wilderness. Now, this morning, I didn't notice, first thing this morning it was announced that they've chosen, completely out of the blue and completely surprising everybody, that Stephen Flynn would be their leader at Westminster. He made such a good job of it last time. Why would you do that? And then to put Pete Wishart as deputy leader. What on earth is Pete Wishart going to do? If Stephen Flynn can't run the 8 people below him, blimey. Anyway, parties at general elections can be sorted into 2 categories. Some have a good night, while others have a bad one. Well, I'm not going to go through all of this, but I'm going to say selected headline here. Some parties had a very good night. Labour, Lib Dems, even the Greens. They had a good night, and certainly Reform had an absolute cracking night. Some parties, not so much. The Tories, less said the better for there. It was truly, truly awful for them. But the SNP as well, massive drop, number of seats and vote share. Their support is dwindling. It is just evaporating as people watch. And of course it isn't just the support, because you're losing that £2 a month off all your supporters that are drifting away. That's your sort of bread and butter money. But you're also losing the big, big chunk of short money, the percentage of MPs' salaries money. There's the money that's not going to come from donations or corporate sponsorship, that sort of thing. That's all dried up. And of course, come 2026, another election campaign to run, very expensive, no money to run it. You'll lose seats there, and again, more money lost out of those salaries that you don't get. It is going to be, I suppose, Armageddon for the SNP. It is Ragnarok, isn't it? It is the end of days, and there's nowhere for them to go. Literally, they can't appeal to anyone anymore. The very idea of independence is dead in the water. And you're going to have a Labour government in Scotland and a Labour government at Westminster. And so this claim of this isn't the government Scotland voted for is actually bollocks. As we can see even now, this is the government Scotland voted for. So SNP really have no real means of existence. What's the point? The people of Scotland have chosen Labour. They've got Labour as their MPs. They've got Labour as their government. And come 2026, it's likely Labour will sweep the board. If not a majority, then certainly probably the biggest party at Holyrood. What's the argument then for the SNP? People aren't getting our message. People are getting your message. People just don't like the message. And they certainly don't like the messenger. The bad side of this ledger, though, for the SNP is that the Nats had this shocker. And now they don't, like I say, they don't have the money to spend on spin doctors and media and all these big pushes that they have that they've previously used to try and show how great they are. Look, we've put the most money ever into the NHS. Yes, you have, but here's the thing. Putting more money in and then claiming it's the most ever is not the same as giving them a real terms rise. And since the SNP have been in power 17 years, for example, yes, they've put lots of money into the NHS. They've never given it a real terms against inflation rise in funding, number one. And number two, yes, they are spending more per head on the NHS than any other part of Britain. And yet they've got the worst service. So it goes to show that it's wasted money. It's not money that's being used effectively. And of course, and as I mentioned again earlier, the tax regime there isn't going to help. And you're sort of losing your senior doctors, your extended nurses. Can't get a midwife. Midwifery in Scotland is in crisis. They're getting people who should have retired years ago to stay on, begging them. And why? Because they waste money everywhere. Think of all the money that you could have spent on the NHS, but it's been wasted on little pretendy foreign embassies. Well, people have wised up, and that is why the SNP are in serious trouble. The one thing they cannot afford to have is people knowing the truth, and people are knowing the truth. And I like to think I'm playing some small part in that, along with Craig, along with the Preston Journalist, along with many, many others. Even people on the independent side, Wings Over Scotland. They're pro-independence, but they still want the truth to come out. And so it's on all sides now are showing the SNP up for what they are, and that is why the SNP are crashing and burning, and not before time, because it is about time. You cannot run a country on lies, on spin, on bullshit. And they've been found out. I'll round off, we'll come up and we'll finish the video. Now, I do honestly think it is terminal now. I don't think that this rot can be reversed. The lack of money is the biggest single thing. Now, myself and Craig have been pushing this for some time, that we can bankrupt them. We can put them into administration, ending the party, ending the rule. And of course, the moment the party goes into administration, there's no SNP, which means all the SNP MSPs are independent. They therefore are not a party. And that means that the second biggest party takes over, or at least attempts at first to try and form a government. Who's the second biggest party in Holyrood? Tories. Be a minority Tory administration, but they'll just go in, they'll say to Labour, they'll say to the Lib Dems, they'll say to everyone, join us. We'll force something, we'll get some kind of control. We'll just do it on a case-by-case basis. Run it out until the time's there. Or they'll go in, control, and just go, let's call an election. I think Labour would happily agree to that. Who knows? But it's up to us, isn't it? We've all got to fight the good fight. Anyway, thanks very much. Take care. Speak soon. Leave a comment, and I will speak to you later. Bye.